Two X-Men with totally different fighting styles. Iceman freezes anything he touches and can drop temperatures to absolute zero in seconds. Storm commands lightning, hurricanes, and can change the weather across entire continents. Both have decades of combat experience but use opposite approaches to dominate battlefields. One controls ice and cold. The other controls wind, rain, and lightning. Their powers would clash in ways that could freeze entire cities or level them with storms. This isn't about teamwork or friendship. This is about which elemental power wins when two masters go head-to-head. We'll break down their abilities, tactics, and see who survives when winter meets hurricane. Iceman's ice abilities work by slowing down tiny particles until they freeze solid at super cold temperatures. His freezing powers work instantly across big areas, making ice walls strong enough to stop tank shells and bomb blasts. Cold absorption lets him suck heat from whole buildings or city blocks, dropping temperatures so low that electronics shut down and most stuff freezes solid. Ice attacks range from small sharp darts to huge blocks that hit like cannonballs. His body can turn into ice form, giving him immunity to physical attacks while keeping full movement and power. Defense options include ice walls, frozen air barriers, and cold traps that control where enemies can move. Energy absorption through cold control stops heat attacks while turning them into power for his own abilities. His best strength is environmental control that makes battlefields told for enemies who need normal temperatures. Ice constructs stay frozen forever once made without using more energy. The key question is whether local control can beat enemies who control bigger weather systems. Combat experience through X-Men work gives tactical knowledge for team fights and solo battles across many threat levels. Bobby has fought cosmic enemies, tech foes, and other elemental powers through smart use of terrain advantages and environmental control. His tactical thinking includes knowing when to use precise attacks versus wide area freezing effects. Ice form change removes most physical weak spots while keeping full attack ability through construct creation and cold control. Smart uses include ice bridges for movement, frozen barriers for cover, and cold hazards that force opponents into predictable movement patterns. His mind shows calm decision-making under pressure with tactical flexibility that adapts to changing battlefield conditions. Past wins include beating fire enemies through better cold control and overwhelming tech enemies through electronic system freezing. Bobby's best tactical asset is understanding how to use environmental advantages while forcing opponents to fight in conditions that favor ice abilities. His combat style focuses on controlling fight range through barrier creation while keeping attack pressure through ice projectiles. The question becomes whether his tactical experience can find and exploit weak spots in enemies who control broader environmental systems. Battlefield adaptation shows Iceman's ability to reshape terrain through ice control while creating tactical advantages through environmental modification. His cold control extends to moisture control that affects humidity levels, making fog banks for hiding or removing air water to limit opponent options. Ice construct creation includes bridges, barriers, weapons, and transport platforms that give tactical flexibility across different terrain types. Environmental awareness lets him use existing water sources for power boost while denying opponents access to air moisture for their own abilities. His best strength lies in creating multiple threats at once through construct generation that forces opponents to split attention between attack and defense priorities. Freezing effects work on most materials and energy systems, giving universal use across different opponent types and tech levels. Bobby's tactical flexibility includes switching between attack construct attacks and defensive environmental control based on opponent responses and battlefield changes. His ice form gives immunity to most attacks while keeping ability to generate new constructs and control existing ice formations. The key advantage is environmental control that makes entire areas unlivable, while giving him unlimited building materials through moisture control. The critical factor is whether his local environmental control can beat opponents whose powers work on much bigger air scales. Storm's air control works on global scales through direct control of weather systems, magnetic fields, and air pressure. Her lightning generation reaches temperatures of 54,000 degrees with precise targeting that can hit multiple opponents at once across huge distances. Wind control creates hurricanes, tornadoes, and pressure differences that lift objects weighing several tons while keeping precise directional control. Temperature control works through large-scale air heating and cooling that affects entire weather zones rather than local areas. A rain generation gives unlimited water sources while hail creation delivers hard projectiles with devastating impact force. Her magnetic control includes magnetic field control that affects metal objects and electronic systems across wide areas. Flight ability through wind control gives three-dimensional movement with unlimited range and speed scaling based on air conditions. Pressure control creates vacuum effects that can suffocate opponents or crush objects through air compression. Her best advantage lies in power scaling that increases with available air energy and environmental conditions. The question is whether large-scale weather control can beat focused cold control in direct confrontation. Smart leadership experience through X-Men Command and African tribal leadership gives tactical thinking that handles multiple variables while keeping clear mission goals. Oro has led teams against cosmic threats, tech enemies, and other weather controllers through smart use of environmental advantages and air control. Her combat psychology focuses on controlling fight conditions through weather modification that favors her abilities while limiting opponent options. Temperature knowledge includes understanding heat dynamics that affect both ice formation and air pressure systems. Smart thinking extends to using weather patterns for hiding, movement, and area denial while keeping attack pressure through lightning and wind attacks. Her mind shows disciplined decision, making under extreme pressure with tactical flexibility that adapts weather conditions to changing battlefield requirements. Past wins include beating elemental opponents through better environmental control and overwhelming tech enemies through electromagnetic pulse generation. Storm's best tactical asset is understanding how air conditions affect all combat elements while using weather control to dictate fight terms. Her leadership experience translates to individual combat through ability to process multiple tactical variables while keeping strategic goals. The question becomes whether her large-scale environmental control can be focused effectively against opponents who specialize in specific elemental control. Weather system control reaches maximum effectiveness when Storm commits full air power to elimination-level environmental warfare. Her hurricane generation creates wind speeds over 200 mph with sustained force that levels buildings and creates debris fields across multiple city blocks. Lightning strikes can be sustained continuously, while varying intensity from stunning effects to lethal electromagnetic discharge that overloads most defensive systems. Electromagnetic pulse generation disables electronic equipment across wide areas while magnetic field control affects metal objects and air ionization. Temperature control through air control can create heat waves or cold fronts that change local climate conditions rapidly. Pressure control creates artificial high and low pressure systems that generate extreme weather effects including tornadoes, waterspouts, and air compression zones. Her flight speed increases dramatically with available wind power, while keeping precise control over movement patterns and positioning. Rain and hail generation gives both defensive hiding and attack projectiles with unlimited ammunition through moisture extraction. Environmental modification extends to creating artificial climate zones that persist after her direct attention shifts to other tactical priorities. The critical advantage is air control that works independently of her direct focus while giving continuous battlefield advantages. The key question is whether her large-scale weather control can beat specialized cold control that works faster and more precisely than air heating and cooling effects. Storm opens by immediately taking to the air and generating electrical storms, while Bobby responds with rapid area freezing to counter her temperature manipulation. Her first move involves multiple lightning strikes designed to test his ice form durability while creating electromagnetic interference that messes with ice crystal formation. Wind generation starts breaking up his ice constructs before they can fully solidify while giving her aerial mobility advantage. Bobby counters smart by flash freezing atmospheric moisture into ice barriers that redirect lightning strikes, while creating thermal absorption zones that neutralize Storm's heating effects. His analysis is spot on. A storm needs time to build atmospheric pressure while his freezing works instantly on available moisture. Storm adapts by using electromagnetic pulses to disrupt ice formation at the molecular level while generating pressure changes that destabilize his constructs. Her best early play comes from recognizing that wide area weather effects force Bobby to split his attention between multiple threats instead of focusing control on single targets. Bobby fights back by creating multiple ice constructs simultaneously while using temperature gradients to mess with Storm's pressure control. Storm's lightning proves most effective when combined with wind attacks that prevent Bobby from maintaining stable defensive positions. Neither fighter can get clear dominance through their primary abilities alone. Storm cranks the weather up to hurricane levels while Bobby responds with absolute zero drops that freeze atmospheric moisture before she can manipulate it effectively. Her electromagnetic attacks target his ice constructs at the molecular level, while wind speeds hit levels that threatened to shatter frozen barriers through pure force. Bobby switches tactics from defensive ice walls to offensive thermal absorption that drains heat Storm's atmospheric systems faster than she can generate warming effects. His key insight is that Storm's weather control depends on atmospheric energy that can be neutralized through rapid thermal manipulation. Storm fights back with continuous lightning strikes to maintain heat levels while generating pressure systems that compress ice constructs past their breaking points. Her wind control creates debris storms that force Bobby to juggle incoming projectiles while maintaining thermal control over atmospheric conditions. Bobby responds with ice armor for protection while using thermal absorption to create vacuum effects that disrupt Storm's pressure manipulation. Storm's big advantage emerges through electromagnet control affecting ice crystal formation, while lightning provides constant heat input that challenges Bobby's cooling capabilities. His counter involves proximity tactics that bring the fight close where instant freezing beats atmospheric manipulation speed. Momentum shifts towards Storm as her weather systems start overpowering Bobby's localized thermal control through sheer scale and energy. Bobby wins through tactical adaptation that exploits Storm's dependence on atmospheric moisture for maximum weather effectiveness. His game-winning move involves flash freezing all atmospheric water in the immediate area, while using thermal absorption to create absolute zero zones that Storm's heating can't overcome fast enough. Storm's electromagnetic control proves useless when facing ice constructs that form faster than her lightning can melt them, while her wind control loses power in the super-cooled air Bobby creates. His tactical breakthrough comes from realizing that Storm's weather powers need specific atmospheric conditions that can be eliminated through rapid environmental modification. Bobby's thermal control scales better in close-range fighting, where instant freezing effects overcome Storm's need to build atmospheric pressure and electromagnetic charge. Storm loses because of tactical limitations that show up when fighting opponents who can eliminate atmospheric conditions faster than she can restore them. Bobby's victory comes from better tactical adaptation that focused environmental control more precisely than Storm could focus atmospheric manipulation. His localized thermal dominance worked better than large-scale weather control when fighting range favored instant molecular manipulation over gradual atmospheric modification. Bobby proves that specialized elemental control can beat broader environmental powers when tactical application exploits specific weaknesses in opponent power systems. What do you think? Could different atmospheric conditions have changed this outcome for Storm?